Chelsea Handler is sharing her thoughts about cancel culture during an appearance on The View. She was asked, as a comedian who speaks her mind, was she worried about being canceled? Let's hear what she had to say.
No, because I'm not an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, all you have to do is not be racist and not be sexist and not discriminate. That's not a tall order. So everyone complaining about that is so annoying. You know? It's like, you can't work within these parameters and think of clever material that doesn't harm other people or make another person a target?
Listen, I'm going to shake off the old. We're going to switch gears a little bit here. So I don't know. I didn't like that clip, right? Personally, I'll tell you why. Like you saying that, bravo for me, way to go with your Hollywood answer. Everyone claps. It's not that simple. It's not as easy as don't be racist. Let me just speak for myself. I'm not trying to be racist up here. I'm not trying to be homophobic. I'm not trying to be anything other than who I am. And I hope I'm not any of those things. But what the public wants to do is reach out and try to get you, quote unquote, canceled for being one of those things. They want to label you. That's where we are in this strange, weird world, right? So her saying things on stage and me saying the exact same thing up here on my stage, I might get in trouble for, as where she will not. So there's different rules for different people.
Well,
so,
yes, there are.
Yes.
There are definitely different rules for different people, and that's by design because context is very important.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with what she's saying, and I do understand what you're saying as well. I think those two things can 100% coexist. In terms of labeling, we have to remember that we've always labeled people, and that it's always resulted in some degree of a cancellation, whether that is a missed opportunity for an opportunity, or whether it's a situation that changes the trajectory of someone's life based on that label. It's just that now there is this mob mentality because of social media that people can really pinpoint a single action or something that is amplified because it's on video or a lot of people are talking about it. So I do think that she is right. There are certain things that are very easy to do or not to do, and people continue to do them because they want people to know that that's who they are. If it's leaning into homophobia, if it's leaning into racism, whatever it is, there is an audience for that too. So Al says it all the time, like cancellation is really just following or finding a way to find your core base. It's finding a way to find the people who think the most like you. So I do think you're right. I think she's right as well.
And you are right. That is right. And it's almost not sickening to me, but to lean into that in some way and then somehow find your audience.
That's how it works.
You're right. You're right. But to me, it's so disgusting. Like that's where our country has shifted, or our mind has shifted.
And you know who showed us that? Like somebody like Alex Jones, who was constantly deplatformed, constantly muted. But the more he was removed from society, the more his followers became more rabid about following and hanging on every word that he said. Just going back to the cancellation conversation, when we're talking about somebody like Chelsea Handler as a comic, I just find what she says a little troubling, because a lot of times when we're talking about jokes, we're talking about subtext. So when you read things or hear things, you have to understand the point of view in which the comic is saying them and who is hearing it. Chelsea Handler had an edgy, for the time, night show on E! Where they pushed the envelopes on certain topics that had to do with homosexuality, but she had a lot of funny gay dudes on her panel, so it was all good. But if you're not that audience that's used to that, you could have watched her clips. If you did not like Chelsea Handler as a entertainer, you could have looked at her same show that we all enjoyed and said that Chelsea Handler was not the right person. What you have to understand is we are all inherently biased in who we are, and we have it's how we were raised. It's in our very fiber. So I hope that people understand that when they're listening to a comic, if they don't understand what they're saying or they don't really get it, give them a second chance before you go and try and end somebody's career. If, like you said, we're seeing patterns, things where you're doubling down on things and going after marginalized groups, then fine. Later for those people. I will help you jettison them. But a lot of times what you're going to end up doing is hurting yourself, because you're going to get rid of somebody that could have been a light in your life and somebody that could have shown you a different way to think, because you're just like, I'm done with this person. You just can't discard people like tissue. We're too multi-layered for that.
Multi-layered?
Many plies.
This is a fantastic show.
Yeah,
a fantastic second half of the show.